Ready for Day of the Dragon King, Chapter 3. Okay. Chapter 3 is called The Silk Weaver. Jack and Annie kept walking across the pasture toward the road. Annie stopped when they neared the farmhouse. "We have to find the Silk Weaver and give her the message," she said. "Let's do that on our way back," said Jack. "I'm worried about finding the Imperial Library." "What if we don't have time?" said Annie. "We promised, and he was so nice." Jack sighed. "Okay," he said, "but let's find her fast. And remember to keep your head down so no one will notice us." Jack and Annie bowed their heads as they headed toward the house. As they got closer, Jack peeked out from under his hat. An ox pulled a cart filled with hay. Men were hoeing at the ground, and women pushed wheelbarrows piled high with grain. "There," said Annie, and she pointed to an open porch where a young woman was weaving a cloth on a loom. "That must be her." Annie ran to the silk weaver. Jack looked around to see if anyone was watching. Luckily, all the farm workers seemed too busy to notice anything. Still looking around carefully, Jack walked toward the porch. Annie was already talking to the silk weaver. "What did he say?" the young woman asked. Her voice was soft but strong. Her dark eyes glowed with happiness. "He said you should meet him in the field at twilight," said Annie. "He's so handsome." "Yes, he is," the silk weaver said. "Yes, he is." The silk weaver gave Annie a shy smile, and then she reached down to a basket near her loom and picked up a ball of yellow thread. "It was very brave of you to bring the message," she said. "Please accept this silk thread as my thank you." She handed Annie a ball of silk. "It's beautiful," said Annie. "Feel." She handed it to Jack, and the thread was smooth and soft. Here she is giving the thread to Jack and Annie. You can see that, and that is the silk weaver. So now, as her thank you gift, she is giving the silk. "How do you make silk?" said Jack. "Oh, it is made from the cocoons of silkworms," said the weaver. "Really? Worms? That's neat," said Jack. "Let me write that down." He reached into his sack. "Oh, no, please don't," said the silk weaver. "The making of silk is China's most valuable secret. Anyone who steals the secret will be arrested. The Dragon King will have him put to death." "Oops," said Jack. He dropped the ball of silk into his sack. "And I think you must leave quickly," whispered the silk weaver. You have been seen." Jack looked over his shoulder, and a man was pointing at them. "Uh-oh, let's go," he said. "Bye," said Annie. "Good luck on your date." "Thank you," said the silk weaver. "Come on," said Jack. They hurried away from the silk weaver. "Stop!" someone shouted. "Run!" said Annie. Chapter 4 is called The Great Wall. You guys have heard about the Great Wall of China?
No.
Have you never seen that? Okay, well maybe I can show you some pictures in a little bit. The Great Wall, Chapter 4. Jack and Annie ran around the farmhouse. At the back was an ox cart filled with bags of grain, and there was no one in sight. The shouting behind them got louder. Jack and Annie looked at each other, then dived into the back of the wooden cart. They buried themselves in the middle of the bags of grain. Jack's heart pounded as the shouts came closer, and he held his breath and he waited for the people to leave. Suddenly, the cart lurched forward, and someone was driving them away. Jack peeked over the bags, and Jack saw the back of the driver. He was calmly steering the ox cart over the dirt road. They were on their way to the walled city. To the walled city. To the walled city. Jack and Annie ducked down again. "This is great," she whispered. "All we have to do is jump out when we get to the city." And there's the walled city that they're headed towards. Yep, Jack said softly, and then we'll find the Imperial Library, find the book, and get back to the magic treehouse. No problem, whispered Annie. Whoa! The cart slowly came to a halt, and Jack held his breath. He heard voices and the heavy trampling of feet, lots of feet, and he and Annie peeked out. Oh, man, he whispered. A long line of men was crossing the road in front of the cart, and they carried axes, shovels, and hoes. Guards marched alongside of them. Let's find out what's happening, said Jack. He reached into his sack and he pulled out the China book. Pushing his glasses into place, he found a picture of the workers, and he read, "The Dragon King forced many of his subjects to start building a wall to protect China from invaders. Later, emperors made a wall even longer, and finally it stretched 3,700 miles along China's border. The Great Wall of China is the longest structure ever built." Wow, the Great Wall of China, said Jack. I've heard of that, said Annie. Who hasn't, said Jack. These guys are going to work on it right now. Just then, someone grabbed Jack and Annie. They looked up. It was the driver of the cart. Who are you? He asked angrily. Jack didn't know what to say. The man's gaze fell on the open book in Jack's hands. His mouth dropped open. He let go of Jack and Annie. Slowly, he reached out and he touched the book. He looked back at Jack and Annie with wide eyes. What is this? He said. Okay, stop right there.